If you want to have a traditional family one day, or if you want to be a CEO and work, it does not matter to me. What matters to me is that you are independent financially and emotionally. And so today I want to talk through a couple of different tips to get you to that place. Hello, my favorite material girls. It's Alexis Barber here, and I've got something super exciting to share with you all today. But first, let's have a little chat about setting ourselves up for success. You know, my life is super busy and my time is valuable. Moving things forward in my career, staying on top of my wellness, and squeezing in fun moments with friends. You know how annoying it is when you're sneezing like crazy during a meeting, your eyes are watering while you're trying to get work done, or your nose won't stop running. The culprit may be fall allergies, and we are not gonna let that get in the way of our missions, okay? Like, seriously, who's got time for the runny nose and itchy eyes when you're trying to cross off your mile-long to-do list every day? Not me, and that's why I've partnered up with Zyrtec and joined the Z Squad. I've been dealing with allergies since I was a child. Every fall when I'm spending more time inside, it's the same story. Indoor allergies like dust and pet dander trying to ruin my vibe. But here's the thing, we are all too smart to let something like allergies slow us down, right? That's why I am all about Zyrtec. It gives me 24-hour relief from those dreadful indoor and outdoor allergy symptoms so that I can focus on things that I love, whether it's cozying up inside with a new TV show or heading outside for a spontaneous fall adventure. One pill in the morning when I start to feel symptoms, Zyrtec starts working at hour 1, and I'm set for the whole day. No more sneezing fits or watery eyes for me, just living my best life unbothered. So my loves, don't let allergies hold you back this season. Grab some Zyrtec, join me in the Z Squad, and let's keep being fabulous no matter what. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Too Smart for This. I'm your host, Alexis Barber. Sometimes I don't do a good job of introducing myself, but I'm a Wharton MBA student right now, second year. I am also an entrepreneur, founder of Two Collective, which is the company that produces these incredible bathrobes, which are literally the best gift for the holidays that we're working towards this year. And I am a podcaster and influencer. Prior to Wharton, I was working at Google and YouTube. And before that, I graduated from Northwestern with a degree in political science. So, needless to say, I've been thinking a lot post-election about what life is going to look like in America, especially through that lens of my political science degree, and thinking a lot about, my personal plans, but also what it means for women and why the country sort of is leaning towards someone who doesn't really respect women's rights or women in general. I don't think you can deny that. So all of this got me to thinking. And in today's episode, I want to talk about the role of women in society, the idealized roles that have been pressed on us, and the realities of how we can take what we've been dealt in this society and still create a fulfilling life despite all of the negative things that come with being socialized as a woman, and embrace the positive things. And I'm excited to chat with you guys about that today. So I'm trying to relax into being more myself. Today I have my Christmas mug from Anthropologie. It's my Christmas in Paris mug. Guys, I tried to microwave this the other day. I wasn't thinking, because I know it's not microwave safe. I swear to God, it literally almost lit a fire in my apartment. I literally saw a spark, a flash in my microwave. I said, "Oh, now that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work." Oh, just spilled that on my couch. Really good, really great, really amazing. We'll start with our 4 types of rest before we get into the content. This week for rotting, girl, I've been watching Real Housewives of New York City and Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. They should not have put both of these TV shows on at the same time, because Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, the drama in that show is just so much better than the drama in Real Housewives of New York, where there's literally no drama. It's very boring. All I see are these women fighting, and then there's identity politics going on. It's just very boring. And I loved it last season. I wish it was more fun this season. I still love seeing the drama, but what I really think that the Real Housewives of New York is missing is the fact that all of the women on that show are very concerned about their image in a way that I can completely relate to. Like, I can see through every single one of their actions because I obviously am a young woman living in New York, and that's like the circle that like is around, and I can totally see why none of them are really letting their guard down. And there's also like racial dynamics that are at play that nobody, like, people don't want to really talk about race in reality TV. Like, it sucks. It's very annoying and nobody likes talking about it. So it's like so weird that they're still allowing that. Anyway, that's my rotting. I also made time to rot 2 nights this week because it's been a really tough week. I'm in my luteal phase and I feel ugly. I feel fluffy. I feel stupid. Girl, the luteal phase is not for the week, but period's coming. Can't wait for it. And then for rejuvenation, I am trying new classes on ClassPass, which is really nice. I've also been doing my weightlifting, and it's just so important for me to do that. And a key that I have is usually in the winter from the hours of like 5 to 7. And I talked about this in the winter arc episode if you all want to check that out. From the hours of 5 to 7, since there's no light outside, those are dead hours. And if I don't do something outside of my house during that time, whether it's drinks with friends or going to a workout class or working out on my own, I will fall into a depression by the end of the night. It's kind of guaranteed. So gotta make sure I'm doing something. And if you struggle with seasonal depression, I highly recommend doing that too. I'm also been taking my supplements more religiously. So a key to do that is with Binto, which is not sponsored, although they were my original very first paid brand deal 4 years ago, which is how you know I still love them. They're a woman-owned, Philly-founded company that you just put in all of your struggles that you're dealing with, and they send you individualized vitamin and supplement packs. And I just put one in my bag because I like to take mine with my lunch, and I have a little alarm that goes off at 12:15 every day that's like, take your supplements. Rejuvenation, check. For pampering, you guys might have seen my TikTok where I literally posted it when I was like in a spiral, which maybe we don't post when we're in spirals, but I decided I wanted Botox. And then I was like, you know what? All right, through like the comments, people were giving me good recommendations on injectors and stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I kind of want to try, like, I've been like kind of itching to try a bunch of like skincare treatments. Like, I want to do microneedling really bad. I kind of want to do Clear and Brilliant again. I got that like 2 years ago. So I booked a facial just at Glow Bar just to like deal with my hormonal breakout that I'm dealing with. But I'll keep you updated on that. That kind of relates to my like getting 20% hotter thing from last episode too, but we'll see. And connection is we are hosting a candle making class for Two Collective /me/ the book reveal for the Too Smart for This journal on Tuesday, which I'm really, really excited about. It's going to be so freaking cute. It's at Cork and Candles, which is in University City. It's actually in multiple different places, but it's in the University City location. I'm so excited. And we're going to make some Too Smart for This candles, which are going to be so cute. And hopefully if I like any of them, I might like make them available on the site for you guys to order for the holidays. But if you would love that, like a candle, let me know. You guys know how I feel about candles. I have like literally 6 burning in here right now, so we'll see. So that's the 4 types of rest that we're dealing with this week, the 4 types of self-care. If you're new here, I do this in every episode because I believe that those are the 4 pillars of what we need to have a balanced life where we take care of ourselves. So I tell you guys what I'm doing for hope that you get inspiration, and if you all have any tips, send them my way too. Okay, now let's get into what I wanted to talk about today, which is this thesis that I'm working on mentally, that smart girls are not waiting to be saved. And this came to me when I was thinking about the election, because a big reason that the election was so pivotal this year was because we were thinking about women and women's rights and women's reproductive rights. And when we think about women's reproductive rights, the first thing that is healthcare. Like, the healthcare of women is incredibly important, and abortion care is healthcare. And I know this firsthand because, as I shared on Instagram and TikTok during the election, my mother lost our brother at 22 weeks of pregnancy in 2012. And I will never forget, it was the most devastating thing that my family has ever experienced. And when we were at the hospital, and I grew up, for context, in a very Christian pro-life family. And so for me, it was really hard to ever, weigh the question of abortion in my mind, especially being born to a teen mom who had me and continued on with her life, even though like abortion probably, would have been an option there too. You know what I mean? Like, I've had a lot of trouble with that in my life, but what I knew for sure during this election, given that Missouri had an abortion ban up until the election, which they voted against, thank God, that if that had been the case in 2012 when my mom was rushed to the hospital for an emergency medical issue and they had to choose whether to save her or not because our brother was not going to make it, that abortion care was health care because it saved her life and she got to continue to be our mom. Otherwise, she would have died. She would have died under that abortion ban because it was 22 weeks. And that is so devastating. And so the number one thing when we think about with this election and reproductive rights was women's health care. And that is something I very much hope will be continued and fought for moving forward. But the second point about it is women's ability to have control over their lives, because having a child is the number one thing that's going to limit your freedoms no matter what. And sometimes when you want that, that makes sense. But when you don't, it is hard. And again, another thing I know firsthand because my mom had me at 16 and raising a baby is tough. So when this question was on the docket, when you dig into it, a lot of it is about control and controlling women. And it reminded me of, and stick with me here, a TikTok I saw maybe it was last year, about a girl saying that she was the first person in her family to live alone, like the first woman in her family to live alone. And I recognized that I was too. And I was like, wait, that's incredible. I'm also the first woman in my family to be this old and not have a baby yet. And that's like, it's just so amazing. And over the summer, I was talking to my great aunt about everything I'm doing in my life. And she was just in awe. And I was like, wait, yeah, like it's kind of crazy, all the amazing things in my life and all the amazing opportunities that I get. And so many women, like even if I had been born one generation prior, would not have gotten an ounce of the opportunities I've gotten. And I've been able to do it myself. And that opportunity is something that the women behind me fought for. And that is so incredibly special. And I found that during the election, many of these opportunities and things that I have taken for granted truly are so new. Everything's so new. When I think about my grandmothers, for example, I have my white grandma, Ruth, who pretty much raised me, and my godmother, Lorraine, who my middle name is Jasmine Lorraine. So she's black because my family wanted me to have a strong black woman. She was in the church to be there, be a place of representation for me. And the reason these two grandmas are so interesting is because they were born on the exact same day in 1953 in two neighboring states. My grandma Lorraine in Missouri, which still had segregation when she was born, and then my grandma Ruth, my white grandmother, she was born into the church in Illinois where there was no segregation. And so what was so interesting is my black grandma, she grew up thinking she wasn't going to be able to vote because she was in a segregated town, and black women weren't allowed to vote until she was 10. Her mother wasn't able to vote. Her mother, who's still alive, wasn't able to vote. And that's new. There's people who are still alive who, like, how crazy is that? Then my white grandmother she wasn't able to get a bank account until 1972, 73 or whatever. She grew up thinking that she had to get married and have kids because that was the only way out. And I mean, it was the only way. There was no other idea of what someone could do. You know what I mean? That's what she was orienting towards. And by the time she was able to get a bank account for herself, she was already married and moved in with her husband and had 5 kids. And when he eventually left her one day with no skills since she dropped out of college, she had to completely turn her life around and learn everything from scratch and raise her 5 kids alone on a secretary's salary. The thing is, they didn't grow up with the possibilities that we have now. So the possibilities that we have in front of us today and the opportunities we have today, we cannot take them for granted by saying, you know what? No, I'm not going to have my own independence. I'm not going to protect myself. I think it's completely fine to want a family with the traditional gender roles or to have a household with traditional gender roles, but at the expense of your own financial independence and of your own emotional independence. That's where we have a problem, because in a world that does want to control women, there's two ways to do that, and that's through financial control and through emotional control. And I think they're both being used now, but financially is one of the biggest reasons that women are stuck in a lot of the situations that they're in. We saw all those ads of women going to the polls and voting for Kamala instead of Trump, even though telling their husbands they're voting for Trump. The generation of women before us still operates in these closed lanes of what's possible for them based on the men around them, because it's a new thing for us to have all of this opportunity. And so of course we're going to be scared of it. And it's getting scary to a lot of men, because men are scared of women in power and they're not used to it. And it's so new that of course it's going to be shocking. And I mean, I don't say this to infantilize or any of the concerns we've had over the past few weeks about why Kamala Harris didn't become president. There's a myriad of reasons. I don't believe the only reason is that she's a black woman. I believe there's so much there too, but I do believe that when you get down to it, 80% of people in a blind poll prefer Democratic policy over Republican policy. There is something to be said about why a black woman couldn't make it happen. With all that to say, the rhetoric around controlling women and controlling women's bodies is not something to take lightly. And it's something that even the smartest men, I mean, even there's men at Wharton, you don't have to be educated to, I mean, I'm just saying, like, even the most educated men or high value men, they still see women as inferior a lot. And that might be as a way to protect themselves, who knows? But the point is, we need to be prepared for it. And we need to be real about what we're dealing with. And we need to be smart. And we need to get smart real fast. And what I think that means for me, because when I'm thinking about what I want for my life, I literally want to have 4 kids and be a stay-at-home mom one day. That's truly like, I know I'll always be entrepreneurial. I'll always have projects. I want to be decorating houses and doing things like that. Like being in a traditional family unit makes sense to me. But at the same time, I'm not stupid, okay? I have to have my own financial independence, my own business, my own life, my own skills, and my own emotional independence, because otherwise I can be exploited and my control can be taken away from me. And this is the same thing for you. If you want to have a traditional family one day, or if you want to be a CEO and work, it does not matter to me. What matters to me is that you are independent financially and emotionally. And so today I want to talk through a couple of different tips to get you to that place, because I'm not kidding when I'm saying, as we continue to strip rights from women, they're going to also continue to strip respect from women, which we were just building up. And I can say this firsthand as a woman who's highly educated and benefits from pretty privilege, all of it, whatever. They still aren't going to respect you. And it's just because you're a woman. That happens a lot, okay? It's still there. And as you continue to lose respect, the only thing that's going to make a man or anyone respect you, regardless of what you look like or where you came from, is when you're financially independent from them, when you cannot be played with. And that's something, and emotionally too, girl, emotionally too. But like when people can mess with you financially, it's very scary. So even if you are in a happy, healthy relationship with your partner who's providing for you, which, girl, congrats, you still got to figure it out on your own. So I'm going to go through my financial and emotional independence tips here, and I'm right there with you with them, because I'm not going to lie to you. I grew up with the same Disney princess propaganda you did. Like, I want to find my Prince Charming and be whisked off into a castle and never have to work a day in my life. I'm not immune to that dream, but I'm also not stupid. So let's get into it. We are going to start with emotional independence, because I'm a little better at that, I think. I had a little hyper independence growing up, so I'm pretty good at this type of thing, I'll tell you that. So the first thing is journaling and shadow work, for lack of a better word. Journaling and getting to know yourself is extremely crucial. This is simply because, girl, when are you really slowing down? When you are putting your pen to paper, it activates things in your brain to help you process emotions in a way that is different than just talking it out or thinking about it. And I love the tactic of also talking it out. I also like talking to text or whatever, but journaling is so helpful to figure out who you are. And I'm going to leave some journal prompts in the episode to help you with this, but this is important for you to interrogate what you want and why you want it, and who you are and what you stand for and what your values are. Sometimes you have to experience life to figure out what your values are, but a good question you can ask yourself when you are deciding this is, when did I last give something up because of something I believe in? Or when did I last make a change in my life because of something I believe in? And that can be a good pointer to where your values are in your life. And interrogate as well, what keeps you from your big dreams and wanting what you want? What is keeping you small? And a lot of times it's the opinions of others, because that's something that women are, conditioned to focus on. And interrogate whose opinions you are really trying to protect yourself from, because some of those are valid concerns, such as like wanting to make sure that you're safe if you are someone who identifies as perhaps LGBTQ. Like, caring what other people think about you is a point of safety. And same for when you are like Black in an environment that isn't kind to Black people. Like, some of that is there to keep you safe, but some of it is just there to keep you small, because it's like, oh, like, I don't want the girl from 8th grade science class to see that I am an influencer, or that I'm trying to promote my music, or that I'm trying to start a podcast online. Like, that's going to keep you small. When we don't pursue our dreams, we literally disrespect every woman that came before us and didn't have the opportunity to have that. We are disrespecting our grandmothers who grew up not knowing if they were going to be able to vote, who didn't get to have bank accounts. And now we have all these opportunities. We're looking at them and we're like, I want that, but like, I'm afraid of what people might say about me, or I'm afraid of, what if I fail? Failing at trying when you didn't even have the opportunity to a couple decades ago is so much better than not taking advantage of the opportunities we have. Okay. So interrogate why you are keeping yourself small. 2, develop a network of strong women. And in 2 ways, I think we need to do this. The first is with our friends. Our friends are the women who are going to hold us up when a man inevitably disappoints us. They're going to hold us up when our parents are dying. They're going to hold us up when we're struggling. Having a network of strong female friendships is the ultimate cheat code. And I am so lucky to have built this over the past few years. And the main way I did so was by being myself. And I can do a whole episode on friendships and all of that. And maybe I'll bring my friends on to discuss it. But this week has been particularly really hard for me. I'm in my luteal phase, so everything is emotionally charged, and I've struggled with some things with 2 Collective and with the startup accelerator I'm doing, and I've just been going through it. And yesterday I was in school and I walked into like one of the study rooms where my friends were, and I just started crying. And they were there to hug me and be like, this is entrepreneurship. This is the hard part. And like, it sucks and we are here for you. And before, I would have just gone to my boyfriend, like back when I had a boyfriend or whatever. And that was nice as well. But the thing about this is these women are going to be there forever. And that's what, and they also understand more what I'm going through because they're also women who are doing it all. And that is so much more valuable to have people who are in it with you, who you feel this soul connection to, who also are going to be there. And like, that's crucial. And the second way I want you to build a network of strong women is through your career. And this means reaching out to the women who have come before you, who are doing what you want to do, speaking with, and also, it's not even that you need to connect to them. If there's a famous or a successful woman who's written a book, read her book. Get all of this knowledge from women about how they are making it and how they're doing the damn thing these days, because that's something that is truly so valuable, is a woman's intuition and a woman's knowledge, because it comes from their lens. And so admiring these women, consuming content by them, supporting them, being a part of their world is going to be so helpful for you to visualize what's possible for you. And this is something I try to do a lot, is look for evidence of people who have come before me, who've done what I want to do. And when you find that, it's so rewarding, because if you can't see it, you can't be it. And so actively look for it. Find the people who've done exactly what you want to do in some way, shape, or form, and just so that your brain can believe that it's possible for you. Another thing about emotional independence is learning how to be lonely and how to be alone. And I am getting really good at this because I'm in a place where I'm not dating or talking to any guys. And it's like the first time that's really happened for a prolonged period of time. And we thank God. But I essentially am seeing so much good in being single and being on my own right now, even though the loneliness is sometimes something that's like stressful or annoying. And I don't think I've gotten to the full depths of loneliness yet, so let me not really speak on it. But I was very, very lonely growing up. And so I remember that feeling so intensely. And that's what really allowed me to dream big, is because I felt so alone that I was able to, you know, be a little delusional in all my daydreams with myself. But now I recognize that that's created something great for me. And being alone now, this is the only time I'll probably ever have this, because if I get into a relationship and then move in with a man and then get married to a man and then have children, like, I'm not going to be able to live completely alone in my own silence ever again. And that's beautiful. That's amazing. I get to decorate. Look at my pink apartment. Like, I get to decorate exactly how I want and have everything exactly how I want it. And so whatever thing you are a little frustrated isn't moving in your life, or if it's about being alone, you have got to be okay by yourself, because that's the only way you can also not be manipulated to stay in something that isn't good for you. You have to know that if you ended up alone, you'd be completely fine. Would it be ideal? Maybe not, but you'd be completely fine, because otherwise you're not going to be able to walk away from something that's bad for you. You're not. And I felt that this year when I was ending a little, not a relationship, it wasn't a relationship really, ending a little like thing with a guy. It was like, I'm not scared of this. Like, I'm not, like, it's just not for me. And like, I'm going to be alone now. And I kind of prefer that, because like, and that hurts their ego, but it also makes them realize like, oh, like, okay, like, damn, she's not losing anything by not being with me. And your person is going to add to your life. They're not going to take away from it. So you have to be okay with your life and be happy with your life. So with that being said, when you're emotionally free, men cannot control you. Unless you're not financially free. Then you're going to try to be controlled by that. It's so crazy because, again, marrying rich, the dream, right? Except for, and this quote is unfortunately extremely true, because I've met people who've been involved with very, very wealthy families and I'm in that circle, so I see this firsthand too. When you marry for money, you'll be working for the rest of your life. When you marry for money, you'll be working for the rest of your life. That's not to say you can't have healthy financial stuff with I'm not here to tell you guys, oh, never think about money, or, oh, don't worry about that, because literally, as a man, you should have a job and you should be making money. You should be making more money than me, because you have way less issues in society. Okay, come on now, let's be serious. Now, what I have to say about this though is that when you are marrying, particularly for money, you're going to be expected to swallow your opinions, plans, etc., your interests, your worldview, because you don't have the power. Because money in a capitalist society is power. And I remember this quote from, it was in Summer House or one of the shows, and it was like a clip on TikTok, and this girl, she was like, I was dating this guy and he bought us flights to go to somewhere, and I asked if I could change the flight because I needed to make it earlier for something I was doing, and he said to me, when you are paying for the flights, you can change them. And that's something as simple as being in a relationship with a guy. She wasn't married to him or anything. That's manipulative. And you'd hope that men with money don't treat you like that. And there are generous men out there who are not going to do that to you. There's no need to villainize men with money, but it's important to know that you need to be able to say, well, fuck you, I can pay for the flight. Don't be a dick. You know what I mean? You need to be able to walk away from that situation without losing your livelihood. Don't put your livelihood into that. So the smart thing to do is say, yeah, let men pay for everything, but have your own and be getting on your own too. And so the first thing for financial independence is change your mindset about money. Okay? money is something that a lot of women have negative emotions towards, that we have tough times dealing with. And I've struggled with this, with not feeling like I am smart enough to control my money. And that's because we've been socialized to believe that. It's not because it's true. Because if you look at the data, women literally have better investing returns than men. We just don't invest as much. And so it's so crucial for us to reframe how we talk and think about money so that we can stop seeing it as something, because the reason they're telling us we can't do it is so that they can keep us from having control over our lives. Okay, come on now. Get with it. Stick with me. The tactical ways that I think is important to do this to cultivate financial independence is to have a career and a skill set that you can monetize and use whether or not you're taking long breaks from the workforce, and to be educated as well. That's super important. And that doesn't necessarily mean having a degree, but building your skill set into something that's recession proof and monetizable is crucial so that you know you'll always be okay. And that also means that you need to manage your money properly when you're getting it on your own. And so a few tips for that are developing a financial plan for yourself and including what you want it to be when you are to get married. And for me, this required me sitting down and being like, what's the lifestyle I want? How much money do I want to make? How do I want to invest so that I can, if I do want to, when I have children, not work, I want to have my money working for me so that I still would have an income from my stock gains or whatever to be able to support myself and to be able to save for what I want for my children. Because for example, there are families where the husband and wife are married, the husband is paying for everything, but he doesn't believe that the children should go to private school and the mother does. And so he doesn't want to pay for it, even if he could. So the mom works, or she uses her money to put her kids in private school because that's what she believes in, or that's what she wants for them. And so there are things like that where it's I never want to be in a place where I can't get up and leave if my partner is not who I want them to be, or if I can't provide for myself and my children something that I would want. So thinking about that is crucial. When it comes to tactically creating a financial plan and managing your money, I can do a more in-depth episode on this, but I'm going to give you 2 books that I think are really important. The first is I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I've talked about this many times in the podcast by Ramit. You could also watch the TV show. It's really helpful and great too. It's on Netflix. But that book is really helpful in giving you a tangible way for you to manage your money. The 4 things that I advise you to do are: 1, create an emergency fund; 2, pay off all of your debts from highest to lowest interest; 3, max out your retirement and 401k; and 4, invest your money. You should not have money sitting in a savings account that's not just 3 to 6 months of your expenses in your emergency fund to pull if, say, this happened to me last week, your laptop just decides to stop working and you need to buy a new one. Now, that aside, you need to be investing your money. I like to use Ellevest. It's a woman-owned investing company it's a woman-owned investment firm. And there's data that proves that women have better investment returns than men. We just don't invest as much. So it's so crucial that once you have that savings down and once you've paid off your debts, all your extra money needs to be going to investments. And it's so much more satisfying when you are going to, for example, this is something that I've seen online too, where it's instead of going to Chipotle, think about how much money you could put into Chipotle's stock and how much money that would make you long term. And so it's funny little games like that that are really helpful. So change your mindset about money. And I'm doing this by reading a book called The Psychology of Money, and by also reading and getting into the more masculine shit. Hell, I go to the top finance bro school in the fucking world, okay? I'm surrounded by these dudes. And I think that's what's really helps me with money is looking around at these guys and being we're on the same playing field. Come on now. And if I can do it, you can do it, because I know you're smart if you're listening to this. I'm looking around at these people. Please. All a white man needs is a pitch deck and some belief in himself, and he's going to raise $10 million yesterday. Meanwhile, I think I need to have $1 million in revenue in the first 2 weeks in order to feel worthy. That's insane. These people men are not inherently better with money or smarter at money or better at math. That's a lie that's been told to keep you small. You have every capacity to make a lot of money, to manage it very well, and to not be a bad person. You're not going to turn into Jeff Bezos when you have your own money. You're just going to be a woman who's able to have the life that she wants and without being exploited. So change your mindset about money. The psychology of money is where I'm starting. Any other recommendations, I will send them to you. And the last thing here is getting inspiration on unique ways that you can make a ton of money. And that's a big part of being able to have your own life, is like you can do it in tons of ways. And that's what another great thing that I've learned since being at Wharton and being surrounded by lots of different career paths is I can make a ton of money being an influencer. I could also make a ton of money running like a search fund. My friend's mom is a famous artist, and that's an art, like artists, Black woman artists, like you can make it, you can do it. And it's like, just look for examples and evidence of that and consume that content from the women who are doing it, because they want to share it with you. We love to share. My literal last tiny little tip on financial independence and maintaining financial independence is to protect your body and be strategic about childbearing, because having a child or getting pregnant or whatever in this economy, in this world, it's very scary. And there are times when we're just being flippant. You know me, I'm impulsive. And we're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, like now I am just way more like, when it comes to letting someone have access to my body, that's going to be that's a very hard door that they're going to be able to open, because of how important it is to make sure that my body is protected and I'm not in a position where I need to have a child. So be for real. Be honest, have a better relationship with your gynecologist, get connected with them, get an IUD, whatever you need to do to make sure that your reproductive rights and the control you have over your body to reproduce is something that you are in control of and being intentional about. So with that being said, I love you guys so much. This was such a fun episode for me to do. Oh, and the final thing I'm going to add is support other women. And this is something like that I find a lot of women, we put so much of our energy into men. Even the energy I spent texting men or thinking about guys this past year, if I had put that into my female friendships, I think I'd be a lot more fulfilled. You know what I mean? And the energy you spend trying to impress men, maybe we spend that time supporting women in their businesses and their art and what they want to do, like building community with them. And I find that to be so incredibly important now more than ever, which is why I'm going to try to bring more to collective events to you all so that you can connect with one another, and why I am making that effort in my life to really focus on that pillar of connection and making sure women are connected with one another. So when it comes to using your money, use it and buy from Black-owned and from women-owned businesses. Put your money into the hands of other women who have the beliefs that you have as well. And that's going to be so crucial, because when we don't support each other, then we start to believe in ourselves less, and less goodness comes out of that. So support the women in your life, whether it means calling your friend on the phone when you know she's had a hard day at work, or sending her flowers for getting a promotion, because that type of people love to be celebrated for things like that, doing those little things. And it means transferring where you're spending your money to Black and women of color and people who have the values that you have too. So spend wisely. And if you want to spend wisely, if you love this episode, 2 collective robes, you can customize them as well for the people that you love in your life. These cozy robes, I swear to God, if you do have a man in your life, a man, a brother, a boyfriend, whatever, the number one thing we get about these robes is that the boyfriends steal them because they're so good. And get yourself one too, girl. I love you all so much. This was so fun for me to create this episode, and I really feel like this election has helped me sharpen focus on exactly what I want in this next phase of my life, because a second Trump presidency, the last one was during such formative years of my life when I was in college, and I got out and felt like I could do anything after that. But now it's like, whoa, this is like my late 20s are all going to be another Trump presidency. And that's really crazy. And I'm focused on what I want to do. And most of it involves uplifting you guys and helping women remember, like, you can have what you want and you can go into a traditional whatever you want to do, but be smart about it. Don't be stupid. Love you guys so much. Share this episode with someone who you think would love it. I love you, and see you next time.